What's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, a first impressions in front of us, the Trek FX2 disc. I picked this up at the Trek store. It was $7.99 after tax, $851. Not quite breaking the $1,000 mark in terms of commuter bikes, road bikes, hybrid bikes, but it's an awesome bike. And actually, in the first impressions, after this introduction, just to let you know, we're moving from the Swift Commute Volter e-bike we reviewed 2 years ago. It's got 3,000 miles on it, over 3,000 miles on it. So today, not only just a first impressions, first look at the Trek FX2, but also a comparison to the outgoing Swift Volt Commuter e-bike. Let me tell you just how good of a job this bike has done at getting me to work and back. And also, even though not sold at Best Buy or on the Swift Volt website, you can still buy this on Amazon just under a different brand. And I do suggest it because it's actually a pretty good bike. So let's go ahead and take a look. So guys, to start, this is the Swift Commute Volter. So guys, to start, this is the Swift Commute Volt e-bike. I bought this at Best Buy a year and a half ago, back in November of 2021. It has a top speed of 20 miles an hour and can go roughly 32 miles on a single charge. It takes 5 or 6 hours to charge. It's got a steel construction. It weighs about 45 pounds. It's a little bit on the heavy side, but in terms of electric bikes, as far as electric bikes go, it's pretty lightweight. And also what's really nice is this bike has the 728 tires, so 700 in diameter and then 28 width. So a real thin, fast tire, narrow profile, really awesome for carving on the sidewalk and, you know, moving around things in the bike lane on the roadway, like debris and things like that. It makes cutting through that stuff extremely easy to do with narrow tires. Like I said, top speed of 20 miles an hour, can go a range of 32 miles. It does have downsides though. So let me talk about why exactly I moved to the Trek FX2 disc. Disc refers to the disc brakes. It's got disc brakes on the front and back, which is actually great for riding in inclement conditions, or just if you happen to go through some sand or some mud, you don't get that grime, that coarse, crunchy sound when you clamp down on the brakes. If you've got, you know, brakes on the rim, this has disc brakes. So really sharp stuff. But let me tell you why I moved to the Trek FX2. So first and foremost, I ride about 3-4 miles to work, and then I ride 3-4 miles back. So I figured, why not get some exercise? And this is the perfect bike to do it. It's actually a hybrid bike is what this is classed at. It's a flat handlebar bike. It weighs about 25 pounds. It's all aluminum. It's extremely basic, but very high quality parts and will definitely get you going down the road. But I found that riding this with the 9 gears and the 2 gears on the left and right hand sides respectively, I can get this faster than the Swift Volt Commuter bike. The Swift Volt Commuter bike has just a single fixed gear and then the hub motor on the back. This has a total of 18 gears because you've got the 9 on the right and then the 2 on the left. But so you can see down here, really good high quality stuff, and couple that with the, you know, lightweight aluminum frame, and this thing just goes. So, but let's again talk about why exactly I bought this and am no longer riding the Swift Volt Commuter e-bike, because after 3,000 miles, even though this has been a phenomenal bike, this is better. So let me tell you why. First and foremost, you can ride this, like I said just moments ago, faster than the Swift Volt bike. The Trek FX2 is an extremely fast bike. And that is thanks to, first and foremost, the gearing like we talked about, but these tires, which are kind of, you know, between a gravel type feel and a road bike type feel. They're fast enough, but they're, you know, wide enough that you can, and have enough tread that you can ride through, you know, dirt and over gravel and still be comfortable and not worry about, bending your rim like on this, which has thinner tires. But okay, so another reason why is, and actually this is the most important reason why, is because this Trek FX2 has a weight limit of 300 pounds. So commuting to work on this, I oftentimes stop home at the grocery store or stop at the grocery store on the way home to get things, and weighing down on the bike is me, who weighs 200 pounds, and then the groceries, which weigh, 5-10 pounds, but then you put them in your backpack and then they sort of become dead weight and then add drag, and then you're looking at, 215, 220 pounds, which is the weight limit of our Swift Bolt commuter bike. So stopping at the grocery store and picking up just a few simple things like, some produce, some vegetables, and sometimes even a little more compromising are those things like maybe a bottle of ketchup or a bottle of water even, will weigh this down. Sitting on it, it has a weight limit of only 220 pounds. And at that moment, you're just sort of like, man, this is not as good as I thought, because the motor's winding down and it's, getting loud. And this, though, handles it so much easier with that upper weight limit of 300 pounds. That super light aluminum frame really makes just everyday life, I think, a little bit easier. Of course, riding to work and back, I can exercise too, because on the Swift Bolt commuter bike, as you can see, it's a fixed gear. It's got the hub motor at the back and really does not make you pedal that much or work that much. Really not a whole lot of exercise to be had on this bike, unless of course you ride it without the electric gearing turned on, which you can do. You can of course ride it just regular, but don't expect to really enjoy it. It's sluggish and slow, and especially on a windy day, hard to pedal. So that's why we're moving on from the Swift Bolt commuter bike to the FX2. And this is on sale online for $699, but I bought this at the Trek store because I wanted the best. I wanted it assembled by a professional, and even though this was the only color in my size large that they had, I figured I would take it anyway because that was the best option for me, and it's been great. And the red is actually a lot cooler than I thought. And last but most importantly not least, you see how nice of a bike this is. What about keeping this clean? And just to emphasize this aluminum, structure, first and foremost, it weighs only 25 pounds. It's extremely lightweight. The Volt commuter bike weighs 45 pounds. It's got the battery in the body and then the heavy hub motor at the back, and of course the frame itself is steel. All that versus this right here. And this is just so much lighter. But anyway, what I love about this aluminum is how easy it is to clean. So after having ridden it about 45-50 miles, it's got some gunk on the back here, and as you'll see, this aluminum is so smooth and so like anti-stick that you can sort of just wipe this stuff right off and take a hose to it and probably just spray it right off. So, just a really good quality, piece of equipment, and one that you can maintain. So last but not least, to finish up this first impressions, the reason truly that I moved from the Commute to the Trek is upgradability. So there's roughly 3 Trek stores in my area. So my options for taking this to get it repaired are virtually unlimited. I could easily put this on a bus and get it to either of those Trek stores. If one Trek store does not have the part I need, I can check another one and vice versa. So really, in terms of getting this, repaired and maintaining it, I have a lot of options because all of these parts are off the shelf. And of course, Trek, as we know, is a popular brand that everyone loves to ride. And it's easy to see why, because just taking a look, look how clean this setup is. You know, this gearing is just attached to the frame of the bike with a couple of bolts and things down here. And so really it's easy to see, you know, what's working, what's not, what's loose, what's tight, and, you know, check the overall status of the parts over the years as you ride this bike so that, you know, you can plan for these failures ahead of time, and also just see, you know, how simple it is to remove some of this stuff. Just a couple of screws, it looks like, and as you can see, is basically just sort of clamped to the seat post of the bike. You know, something as critical as the drivetrain is, you know, attached to the bike in just such a simple and clean way. So what I love about the Trek FX2 disc is, yeah, it's kind of expensive, but it's super useful. It's super utilitarian. I can have this for years. It's extremely reliable, not because it's a Trek, but because of, you know, the fact that I can just get it repaired so easily, and that these parts should be available, I hope, at least off the shelf, right? And to compare, you know, the upgradability and the repairability, yeah, of course, on Swift's Volt, you know, Swift's website, the Volt, you know, does have a section to buy a replacement battery, which is right here. It's $399 though. This bike was $800. And then of course it was on sale for $200 off. Best Buy was very generous. That was way back in November, and gave me $200 back. So really paid $600 for this. The battery is basically worth, you know, half the bike. And that's not everything. You know, of course, what if something happens to the hub motor at the back? Just not off the shelf parts. Swift is not a known brand. Best Buy does not sell this bike anymore. And on Swift's website, this bike is completely sold out and has been for several months now, if not longer. So how many of those batteries for this bike will remain? You know, will people buy them? Will they get recycled? I don't know. I just don't see, you know, a lot of people riding this bike. I'm probably the only one in my town that rides it. Kind of a slippery slope there, but probably accurate and true to a great extent. You know, I ride this bike everywhere and have not seen anyone else on a bike like this with the Swift Volt brand, or not even the Hurley brand, which is another brand that sells this exact same bike. It's a surf brand. They advertise this as like sort of like a skater punk, you know, hoonigan type thing that you can, you know, take and do jumps and tricks on it, and you know, hoon around town on it, which you can, which I totally love and totally get that, and that's super cool. But just for me, you know, going to work and back, having to potentially one day replace the hub motor, you know, that's something I need to do research on. It's something I need to, you know, go through third-party vendors to specify that it would work for my, you know, Swift Volt commuter bike, and so on and so forth. It's probably a lot simpler than I'm making it out, but you know, if that failed today and I had to go to work tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be able to get to work tomorrow morning because I'd have to replace it, and to replace it I'd have to order it, and that would of course take several days. So, and of course it's expensive. So, you know, overall, you know, two of the parts of the bike, you know, that you would need to get it working, and that will likely fail, is the hub motor and the battery. So I've, you know, ridden this 3,000 miles. I recently just paid it off. I purchased it through a lease agreement at Best Buy, a lease to own agreement, and was just like, you know what? I've had my fun on it. I'm not really enjoying it as much because I do prefer to get exercise, and it's not good for exercise. So I've got a nice Swift Volt commuter bike here. It'll be a backup to the Trek FX2. I'll get exercise on this. It's faster, it's more reliable. I can do more things with it, get my groceries after work, and not have to worry And also I think, you know, girls like it better too. So this is cool. You can actually check this out on Amazon. Best Buy does not sell this bike. Swift has been sold out of this bike, but on Amazon, you can get it under a brand called Hurley. You've all heard of that brand, Hurley. It's a surf brand. They sell skateboards and now electric bikes and clothing and apparel as well. It's a really cool thing, you know, marketing scheme they have behind it. I totally get it. Hooning around on it, this would be a really cool bike for that. It's still a great bike. It's still a good bike. It's an, you know, an enjoyable bike to ride. But yeah, the FX2, you know, I really do enjoy going to work and pedaling to get there. And what I have found is this is faster and much funner to ride. So, but anyway, both are good bikes. This has been a first impressions, first look of the Trek FX2 and Viper Red. So far, so good. We'll do some more reviews and, you know, bike equipment videos, and also continue riding the Swiftfold commuter bike and use it for various things, for when I want to just, you know, have a little fun and not exercise. And this, of course, will be my daily driver. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed this first impressions, first look. In this video, it's a 3,000 mile review of the Swiftfold commuter bike. Compared to other electric bikes, it's easy to transport because of the thin profile tires. It's not as upgradable or as replaceable as I would like it to be. Upgrading some of those more critical components like the hub motor and the battery, that will take time and also money, as for the Trek will be highly upgradable and extremely easy to repair. So now I've got two bikes. I've got the Trek FX2 disc, which today we're doing a first impressions of. I bought this at the Trek store. Really cool bike. It's got this kind of, you know, BMX kind of stunt bike look to it, just how straight it is. But it's also a very fast commuter bike. It's fast on the road. You can get this up to 30 miles an hour, probably faster. It's light. It's extremely rigid and strong. Can have up to 300 pounds on it, which makes it just that much more useful, really, commuting with it. So it's a host of things at the same time. It's really a great all-around bike, and I do recommend going to your local Trek store and buying this assembled already off the showroom floor, paying full retail price. It is on sale online for $6.99, but recently, you know, buying things online and on sale, I have been just so fed up with. So that's a story for another time. That was a bike I ordered a couple of months ago. It came in really bad condition. It was on sale, and I returned it and got this, and I am happy I did and cannot suggest it anymore. So let me know if you want to see more reviews and, you know, accessory videos like, you know, bags, and we can review tires or anything like that. Of course, lights. And there's also a really cool sort of Bluetooth connection feature built into the Trek FX2 called DuoTrap. And that connects to several other Bontrager devices that connect via Bluetooth and give you speed and distance and things like that. Some of that stuff is a little more pricey. It's like $75 and up. So in the future, those are things that we can add that can make this a little bit more like the Swiftfold commuter electric bike that I have ridden and enjoyed for 3,000 miles. So anyway, out with the old, in with the new. I really enjoyed this first impressions of the Trek FX2 disc. My name is John. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below for more. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I post YouTube, and feel free to ask questions about any of these bikes. The Swiftfold commuter bike I reviewed about a year and a half ago and can tell you pretty much anything about it now that I've ridden 3,000 miles. And now that I plan on riding the FX2 disc every single day, feel free to ask me questions about, you know, buying it. You know, me being 6'1" and this being a large, so I'm at the upper limit of that height limit for this bike. You know, how does it ride? How does it feel? And I can get back to you in the comment section below. Thanks again, guys. See you later.